Okay, hi. Second video. Just thought I'd try and just follow up with something else. I'm going to be talking about unus annus again, just because, well, they're in my head. Second day of not having them show me an awesome video every day. So, they're still on my mind because I just can't help it. A little addicted. Withdrawal's hard, but we can get through it. So, I thought I'd give a little review of unus annus, just to maybe give some people an idea of how it went, or give them an idea of what they missed out on. So, I was actually not there for the beginning of it. I probably got there in the beginning of 2020, so it was still what the show wanted, but it started headed towards quarantine annus. So I love the first couple of videos. It felt really interesting to see someone who was so experienced, such as Mark, in the form of presenting something kind of crazy and stuff, and then seeing Ethan give it his all. At least try his hardest to make sure he was saying something clear, just because he has a little bit some stutters. Me too, don't worry. No judgment, okay? No judgment. It's just, that's kind of the funny part. Yeah, I actually, funny enough, didn't see cooking with sex toys until a little while ago, and I wish that was the first episode I saw. I wish, because it's just hilarious, and obviously at the end of it, it got even funnier. But yeah, the beginning of it was them trying to do goofy ideas and trying to get the ball rolling, and they did a really awesome job. And then quarantine came around. There was people trying to make sure that the disease didn't spread around, people making sure that we stayed inside so that there was less likely people contracting or spreading the disease. And they did an awesome job. I was very impressed on how they made sure that they were always COVID approved. Whether it be they took the cautions to make sure that there was no problem, such as during quarantinus, where like they had only videos through them being at their houses, at their own computers and everything, which is where I started to get a lot of my videos, started watching it a lot, because I don't know, they would escalate and escalate. That was one of the coolest things about the show. And Mark even started talking about that later on, is how that kept escalating. You go from one little idea, one seems a little silly or just goofy, and then it just keeps getting crazier. I always loved when they were trying to find the cryptics of the world, such as like Bigfoot or Atlantis. I had a fondness for Atlantis, the video, just because they were using Google Maps, and obviously it didn't work, but it worked. It worked real good. Makes me laugh now. Towards like the end of quarantine, they started to actually come back out and make videos together, not really going out too much, but then they started to eventually, obviously. And just to give them another shout out, with them being safe with COVID, they always made sure they were tested. They always made sure to communicate with us that they were fine and everything, and they would make sure to wear a mask whenever they needed to. They did a lot of, once they started getting out of quarantinus, they did a lot of awesome things for, I would assume, the community. They went to farms that they would shoot arrows, they would pet pigs, they would go to, like, I'm not sure if it was in the beginning or the middle of it, but like saunas, getting all these different treatments for people around the city, which I always thought was awesome, just because it gave it a real genuine feel to a lot of it. And it gave them a way to present people, not just themselves. Obviously, sometimes they would present themselves instead, but that's just YouTube life, trying to make sure you can get your face out there. But they did an awesome job of making sure everyone was at least credited and making sure that it was how to focus on them, because it's something that we might go enjoy. I don't live in LA. Can't really get out there, but I definitely would have if I could have, just because they were so passionate on making sure that it wasn't just their video, it was shared with everyone who was there. I always appreciated that, and it made it interesting because, well, real things are interesting. Towards the end, they kept getting like more philosophical and like started going slow. And I would say the production started going up a lot, and it was awesome to be able to see the development of that. The production was getting better every time, and it wasn't even like they like had fancy effects or had a bunch of like props or something. It was just them focusing on something that you would want to watch and focusing on the experience you felt in the moment that you watched it. So such as they could have, like with Campus Honest, my favorite part was Campus Honest. It was, I don't know, it was so funny, and then I love going camping. I go to camps a lot, and so it was very real to me with that. But then they also just did a great storyline, and with the production with that, the lighting was always perfect. They had a storyline throughout a lot of it, and they made sure to take their time when they needed to. They had this awesome video where they were skipping rocks down a drained creek, and they would just talk about the show, talk about how the end is coming and what they're gonna do, how they're gonna feel, and how they feel right now in the moment, because they were starting to get to the idea that we need to make sure we do the best and give it our all towards the end. And they did this little thing, and I loved it. And I'm sure it was awesome for them to be able to edit it this way. But they had a video way over here where the rocks would skip, and then them over here, like actually skipping them. And they got this awesome shot of where the rock just like broke apart and whoosh, off the creek with the video over here. And it was just awesome to see something creative but coincidental. And that's a lot of the beauty of this, is that it's about doing something you don't know what you're going to get out of it, but working with what you get. So that was interesting to see them work a year of doing exactly that. The one thing I loved about Camp Honest was that they had a story all the way through. In the beginning, they had Mark and Ethan driving to the camp, and they actually foreshadowed what was going to happen. They had a whole bit during that time that was solid all the way through. It was funny, but then like awkward, trying to figure it out. And then immediately as soon as they got the camp, they started going 100% into the bit. So like, the bear's gonna get them, or they gotta get the animal out of the tree. The one I liked was the games, because they did a lot of different bits with that, and it was hilarious to see like Ethan dehydrating Mark, seeing Mark just, I don't know if it was a bit, but just demolish Ethan in these physical activities, but Ethan not giving up. and then towards the end, they did, I forget if it was in the end or like a little bit in the middle, but they did this tent bit where the bear was going to get into the tent, and at the end of it, they were just straight up walking with the tent away from the bear. and raging into the dying of the light. That was, I don't know. I think they got that from something. I need to figure that out. But they used it so many times, and it was awesome. And I just kept laughing, seeing them literally walking over a fence and a tent. Doesn't sound possible, but they did it. And one thing I do appreciate is that they really did even have inside jokes. They would continue with something, even they did it earlier on, they would reference it, or they would continue something. It's not just them saying memento mori, but even with them saying rage into the dying of the light. They used that a couple times. They were conscious about what they were saying, whether or not it was on purpose or not. And then towards the end, they really got into the philosophical side. And Mark was better at describing it and going face to you and saying, your time is limited. You need to make something and live every moment, because your time's gonna end. You're not gonna notice when it's gone, because you're not there anymore. You won't be able to look back. You should be able to enter the gates of death with proudness. Mark was really good at describing that and showing that. I think Ethan was good at showing it. Mark would say it, but Ethan was a bit of the epitome of living in the moment. And that was kind of the nice dynamic of seeing Mark, the philosophical, but then the Ethan, not Mark and Ethan, seeing Unus and Annus work together. So Annus was the one who was stare straight and give you the message. But Unus was the one to show you the message, to show you him dancing in the limelight. And there's actually a bit with that in Campus Annus again. There was a lot. I just loved it. Them digging a friend a grave. They ended up singing a song, and it kind of showed the characters that they've been working with, and the fact that there's a bit of a yin yang to it. So Mark is standing there and staring at you as his digging a grave for his friend, and you see the sorrow, but you see the anger of not living in the moment. But then you see Ethan go out and dancing, singing the song of digging a grave for your friend, which I really didn't notice in the moment, but looking back, and I totally see it, that one is a mirror of the other, but with two different people showing it in their own way. And I want to bet Ethan didn't plan it too much, but he totally played it off well. No judgment, just saying. That was the feel I got from him, which is good, because that makes it more honest and free and makes it feel real, which they did a good job of. So I loved it when they got cinematic. They started doing the Halloween time towards the end with the actual haunted house, and doing little Unus was getting Annus to go through the house and do these little traps and do these little puzzles to figure out where he needs to go and get the clues to be able to figure out the ending. And they did this awesome thing where they continued that into the next video, and the next video switched it from being funny to all of a sudden serious. And they did an awesome job of making that so cinematic. And it was cool. I didn't realize this until they referenced it in their live stream. They referenced a cutscenes, not cutscenes, I don't know what it's called. This is why I need to do editing, so I learn these things. The transition between the one scene to another. They would use a distraction and go to the next thing. So, kind of like that. And they did that with the lights and imaging, and they did it with mirrors, and they did different twists and everything. So they got really, they kept pushing their boundaries of cinematic quality and then storytelling. And it just made it better and better each time you watched it. Even though each video wasn't consistent, you'd still get the funny video, you'd still get the serious video, you still get the combination. But you always saw the growth. And, well, that's a cool thing to think about Unus Annus. The fact that they talked about it plenty. The fact that in a year, things can change, but you want to make sure you grow. When you change, it doesn't mean you have to change yourself. It just means you grew as yourself. And they did this awesome thing where they started wearing suits, I think, to reference the seriousness and the fact that they're playing a different role. That was quite obvious when they're playing a different role, especially in the video I was talking about. But to show the fact that they were kidding, I imagine. The fact that, yes, it's gonna end, and we're here to talk to you seriously, make sure you understand. Not because they're forcing it upon you, they're just making sure that you are ready to accept it. And they continued that a lot, and it just made it refreshing, I would say. Hearing people continually saying the same thing but different, and showing that it's not just for a bit, it's not just to get views, it's so that people can accept the end, and to realize that it's going to be scary, it's going to have a lot of emotion, but it's something that we need to learn to accept. Something we need to learn to acknowledge in our day-to-day life, because it will both teach us, I don't know, it'll teach us to remember death, memento mori, and to make sure that we remember that so that we can choose how we want to feel on our death, how we want to make sure that there's no regrets. And that was one of the, so we'll start talking about the live stream. That's what they started, that's what they were talking about all the time. It was so cool. Like them being so proud, them being proud of themselves, being proud of the editors, being proud of us, responding, being excited, and being there and a part of it. So I mean, a lot of times you might have YouTubers or something that you really like that you can enjoy, but it's hard to be a part of. You're not going to talk to them. You're not going to be able to sit there in a moment with them. You can watch them in a moment, but you can't just actually be there with them. And that's what it felt. That's what it felt, because they would share their emotions. They would share all their joys. Making it easier to accept that it's going away, because they accepted it, and because they did their hardest to make sure we accepted it. He constantly talked, he said, I believe in his other video, that he wants to walk in to the arms of death the same way that he walked into that live stream. Proud and happy of what he did, because they knew they gave their best. It was really cool. So the goal, a bit of the goal was to get 1 million likes on the video. I was like a little worried. I was like, it's not gonna happen. Is it gonna happen? I wanna see inside the casket. And they showed us inside the casket. There was nothing. It was just the lining was 2 different colors, and black and white mirroring the other outside colors. And so it was a little anticlimactic. I was like, eh. And I don't know if they planned this. I don't know if this was their idea, but it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. They had, I forget who was first. I think it was Ethan? No, I think it was Mark. Unus or annus, either way. They would have someone go into the coffin, and they would have like a little memorial for them. I don't know if they planned it, but it felt so natural, and it felt so real, because they were saying goodbye. They were saying goodbye to the the group they had. They were saying goodbye to the person. They were saying bye to the ideas of who they were. So like Ethan talked about the inspiration that Mark gave, and that Ethan found a new purpose with him. And that was Mark's bit of side, that like he when Ethan was in the coffin, he talked about how he was so amazed by him. He was could not believe the potential that he had, because he could see it every time he did something. The minor things, or just the ideas that he has and the creativity that flows through him, giving the pride that he needs. Because he knew that all Ethan needed was the confidence. And then I didn't see this one coming, but I'm glad they got her in there. Amy was at the live stream and was about not to go in there, and then she did, which was amazing, because she was a big part of it. As much as they constantly talked about that. And that was one thing they did really well. They included everyone. I wasn't even really too aware of the editors or how many there were until the live stream. Amazing work, and amazing people who worked really hard. And definitely showed how hard they worked. It was insane. But they did it with Amy too, and it was nice to see the side of a lover, such as Mark, and then a side of a friend. It's kind of weird to say friend, just because they worked so close together, but they both were so endearing, and I would say in awe of what she did for them. Because there would not have been Unus and Annus without Amy, just because of her crazy ideas. And then her just not scripting, but pushing along them two to make sure that it goes further beyond. Yeah, it was so beautiful to see them getting emotional and doing that. And I don't think they cried. I think they probably got close. I didn't cry, but I was very emotional. I was very excited. And seeing them, I don't know, it was so jarring to see them ready at the last second to push that button, and having to see them for a year and then gone. It got me. It's a bit of mimicking of the idea that death is just an endless void. Once it's gone, it's blackness. Everything's gone. You can't look back. All you have is yourself and your memory. And hopefully you look back on those memories well. That's why it's important to take their message seriously. I try not, so this being the second day, without UNUSANNUS, I try my hardest not to watch the videos or watch the things about them. I'll listen to the songs. It was funny. They played the Barrel song during the live stream. Couldn't get it out of my head. I don't know why. I didn't really watch it too much during the show, during the year, but I can't get the song out of my head now. It's just, oh wait, I got the different song in my head right now, but I would sing it. The barrel faithful since that. Damn it, I forget. But the reason why I forget right now is because I have the disclaimer song in my head too. It's odd because, once again, it's not like I watch those very often. It's not like I watched a bunch of them, or it's long enough for it to get in my head. But they did immediately, and I think it's because I want to hold on to that. I was surprised, but they're both good. I hope you guys go watch it. Please go out and the Barrel song is still on the one channel. It's just not the video, so you missed out on that. But you still get to enjoy the song. It has Mark and Ethan singing in it, which I was quite impressed by. Ethan has a beautiful singing voice. Mark is very, very articulate. And to talk about those kind of videos and everything, please, just because of my ideas of what would be best, do whatever you want, doesn't matter. But don't watch those re-uploads. The ones that are just full uploads, don't watch those. If you really want to respect Unus Annus, don't watch them. If you want to see it and you're dying to see it, you missed out, I get why you would want to watch them, but I would say talk to someone first that is watching Unus Annus so they explain it's gone. And if you can say okay to that and not watch them, then you get Unus Annus. You don't need to watch it. You already understand. It's gone. Let it go. Enjoy the people who, I would say, if you want to hear about Unus Annus, you want to learn about it, you want to know about what happened, talk to someone who's watched it. Talk to your friend who's watched it. Talk to someone online on the comments on a different video about it. Talk to someone. Don't just watch the video. It's not the same. You're getting an experience, one, that you shouldn't have, legally and otherwise. You shouldn't have it. But letting someone share that experience is the point. They shared their experience with us, so why not share the person's experience with yourself? Asking someone, hey, what was your favorite video? What was your favorite moment? What you learned from it? What was the point of it? Because that was the whole point, is that people were able to share and express their emotions with each other, because if we don't do it now, we'll never be able to. If you don't do it now, you missed out. And I'm sorry for the people who missed out, but that happens. And if you don't get over it, you're going to be stuck. And if you're stuck, you're not going to die happy. So, please, if you're the one uploading them, don't stop. If you are so tempted to do it, I urge you not to. I urge you not to. Talk to someone about it. They'll tell you every second they can. And the great thing is, they're going to keep talking about it. It's hard not to. I talked to my friends today about it, and you jump around a little bit, but you say the weird shit that happened, and they still go, what? So do what you're supposed to do. And talk to people. That's all we have in life. So do it. And I think it would be a way better experience than you watching them in silence with no one else. So please, don't watch them. Don't upload them. And keep giving Mark and Ethan love. I've started watching Crank gameplays. You get the same feel. Let's Plays, kind of not my deal, but as soon as he starts talking about his life and talk about everything else, I start getting into it, because he is someone who is continually trying to give his all, and I can't say no to that. So yeah, that was a bit of my rundown of how the show went. Bit of a review, but I hope you might be able to enjoy it and just get a quick idea of what's happening, and maybe some pointers about life. Stole them from UNUSANNUS, but they don't have videos to prove it. Okay.